I recently had an experience where self-empathy practice was incredibly helpful. I have an injury and I was in a situation in which I was participating, and because of the injury, I couldn't participate in the new activity of the group at the time. That itself wasn't so triggering as the memories that it brought forth of not being included as a child when I went from school to school. So that whole network of experience of I'm not included, I'm not good enough, rushed forth through my body, and I immediately recognized it as this sense of shrinking and even my vision becoming narrow. I took a time out away from the group and sat, and I immediately looked for something that could anchor me in a bigger perspective, in a more expansive perspective of what was happening. And I found something. I found just the day before I had had this really beautiful, warm interaction with someone in which I really felt their valuing of me. And I just replayed that interaction. I saw her face and I sunk into the sensation. And then as I did that, other similar interactions came to mind, which continued to help that expansive sense. So I let myself run through those, feeling the love and appreciation as it poured forth through those memories. And then I would check in. I would go back to the situation I was in and see if I was stable enough to meet that situation. And a couple times I went back and I felt that old reactivity just pour forth again and destabilize me. So I went back to my original anchor of the day before, that warm conversation. I relaxed into more examples like that, letting it affect my body, visualizing it, hearing people's love and appreciation of me. And then once I thought I was stable in that expansive place, then I went back to, okay, here I am in this situation. And by the third time, I was stable enough and I could hang out there. And first thing I did was just give myself some love for, oh yeah, it's so sad not to be able to participate in the way I want. So identifying the feeling of sadness and the need for participation, inclusion. And then I also identified that background story really clearly, like, oh yeah, this is so familiar. Of course this would come up now, that's okay. So expanding around that old reactive pattern, not resisting it, just welcoming it in. Oh yeah, like an old friend visiting, right? Oh, the exclusion stuff is here, that's okay. Lots of deep breathing also to calm my physiology. And as I identified those parts of my experience, sometimes I would go back again to the anchor, gain a little more warmth and expansiveness, come back again. Yeah, I really want to know I'm included, I'm a part of the group. And then naturally, as I settled into those needs, my mind went to nourishing that need for inclusion. And I was able to run through the faces of the group I was in and remember, oh yeah, experiences of inclusion. These folks aren't intentionally excluding me. They care about me, and I have all these examples of how I've been included in the past. Next was the request to myself, how would I like to handle this now? Or do I have a request of someone in the room? And my request to myself was to go out and engage in an activity I really enjoyed, if the group was doing something I didn't want to, and then perhaps ask one of my buddies to play with me while the group was doing something I couldn't do, so that I could also have some companionship and sense of inclusion with another. So that practice of self-empathy, you can see, doesn't happen in a straight line, but often goes back to the warmth to stabilize, and then back to sorting the experience, and back to the warmth. And when that stability of warmth has occurred, then the steps can kind of naturally unfold. Yeah.